I'm going to go ahead and touch around here, and I want you to let me know if you feel any pain.
Okay.
No pain there?
Mm-mm.
Good. Any pain when I touch you back here?
Mm-mm.
Good. So what I want you to feel today is pressure. Pressure is normal. Pressure is expected. Pressure is my best friend. That's what's going to allow me to get the tooth out. But I don't want you to feel its pain, okay?
Okay.
Also, the tooth is not a root canal, so there's no nerve, there is no feeling in the tooth. So the first thing I'm going to do here, let's say, is take a periotome. And this periotome is what severs the PDL from the root surface. So that way we don't damage any surrounding tissue in the process of removing the tooth. These periotomes have a cutting edge right there, and that's what I use to separate the tissue really nicely, very clean, all the way around. I'm going to do the same thing on the lingual surface. Just like that. Very nice. Good suction there. Now this is porcelain, and I want to preserve this crown as much as possible. So my goal here is to elevate and introduce a little bit of pressure. I'll most likely very soon switch over to the forceps and grab apical to the crown. So what I would love is for this to just come right out. That would be the easiest thing. And Dr. Martin did cement this back onto you, right? Okay. The chances are, if this is hanging by a thread anyways, if I give this just a little bit of love, it should come out without a problem. I'm going to make sure we're apical to the crown. I don't want any force on the ceramic. Okay, I want to be grabbing all the way down here. Whatever Dr. Martin used to put it on here, really strong. A little bit of movement. Gotta really be delicate with the extraction here. There we go. So now I got the crown. This is what I wanted. Intact. Beautiful. Now we can go after the root. Again, good grab on the buckle, good grab on the lingual. We have these special forceps here that have serrations on the end. They really help grab onto that root structure. So we do our little twist motion. We remember that the maxillary anterior incisors are conical. So we are allowed to do a little left to right twist. Another tip in getting a tooth out is to expand the socket. You grab it, you go one direction, you wait about 30 seconds while you're holding. sing happy birthday in your head twice. And what that does is slowly causes the PDL to release from the socket. Nice and slow here. Again, we'll go back with the periotome and we'll sever everything down. Everything down. Section this one, good. Sever all of that, sever all of that. This tooth is also root canal treated, so it's a little bit more brittle than normal teeth because it hasn't had vitality in who knows how long. So we're going to continue going at this little by little. If we get a snap, crackle, pop, that is normal, that is okay, like how we just got right there. Sectioning an anterior tooth is also okay. That is possible. That is doable. I normally tend not to because I prefer to just be a little bit more patient, but if I have to, I will. So yeah, that tooth is really brittle. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a 557 surgical burr. And we'll just trough a little bit on the outsides of that root just to create enough room so we can elevate the root either into or outside of those spaces that we're going to create. Sorry about this. Go ahead and give me some suction here, please. A little bit of water here, okay? A lot of water here. Again, you want to be real careful, real diligent. The only thing you want to cut is the tooth structure. You don't want to cut anything else. Leave that buccal plate alone. Now, I take my spade proximator and I'll place it distal to that root. And I'll give it a little twist motion. And what that does is it'll slide into the PDL. I'm using the back of my left index finger as leverage. And you can see how it slides in. And there's half the root. And the post. Suction all that out. Good. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. A lot of pressure here, Tom, okay? Mm-hmm. There we go, suction in. And this is just something that happens with root canal teeth. They love to crumble. They love to make our lives a little bit more fun than it has to be. So I can see that the sectioning is not all the way apical. I'm going to take my burr and I'm going to take it all the way down down to the apices of the socket. All the way down. There we go. I saw a little bit of movement there on the root tip. And there we go. Suction all the way inside the socket for me. Good. Thank you. Now I need to go a little bit more apical still. That root tip is still in there. So it's completely cleared up. Good. Good. Suction. Good. And again, it's a tedious process, but the main goal here is to preserve the buccal plate, because that's the main blood supply to our implant. If that means that I have to be here for 30 minutes to take this suit, even if it's in a gazillion small pieces, that's fine. The preservation of that buccal plate is the most important thing. And again, this proximator works nice and getting all the way down to the apex, just because of the way the cutting edge is shaped. And right there, we just removed that apical distal portion that I sectioned. So now I know we're all the way down to the bottom. Good, good. There it is. Got the tip of the root there for you. And there we are. We're clean all the way down to the bottom. So again, sometimes teeth come out real quick. Sometimes they take a little bit more love. Sometimes you have to section, even if they're conical, single-rooted teeth. Sometimes they are root canals, and you gotta break them apart and be gentle with it. The goal is to end up at a scenario like that, where the buccal plate's intact, the tissue is not too traumatized. There's no such thing as an atraumatic extraction, but as clean as possible is the goal. Here. Good. Tuck in this. Just like that. That's good. Leave your suction down there. Good. Beautiful. Very good. All right. Next step now is we're going to index our pre-made surgical guide that we made in our implant planning software. And as we can see, it drops in like a glove. That's how we like it. Beautiful. Open up just a little bit for me, Lisette. We have a platform here on the pallet that helps my assistant hold it down, so that way we're not wobbling with the guide. I've created verification seating windows on this side and on this side, so I can verify that the guide is seated all the way down, both in a front to back, but left to right direction. So we have full seating all the way down, and we have a passive fit, so we know that nothing's gonna come in there. All right, based on our guide, our implant planning software let us know that we're going to be using 28mm length drill. We'll be placing a 4-2 diameter 15mm Baja Horizons implant. So step one is going to be our first osteotomy with our 2-0 drill. I normally do my first osteotomy, the first cut at 2000 RPM, and then the sequential osteotomies at 1500 RPM until we get to the desired osteotomy thickness. Now, because this is an immediate, or we don't have any buccal bone to engage the implant, I'll be undersizing the osteotomy probably down to a 2.8 or 3.2, depending on how I feel the density of the bone is. And that's more of a judgment call. So that way we get good primary stability. So I'll go ahead and get my drill going. And we do a pumping motion, just like that, until we engage that apical bone, and we're all the way down. So that's our first drill. Now we're going to go up to the 2.5 drill, 28 length. And you can feel that grab of the bone there at the apex. There we go. I like it more when I have to push a little harder to get the drill down, because that tells me that the bone's good quality. It's very dense. It's going to really do a good job of gripping the implant well. So this is my 3.2. And I'm going to stop right at 3.2. Now, this is something I like to do. Is prior to me placing my implant, I'm actually going to graft the site right now. If you look in the inside, my osteotomy, I'm going to take a DSLR photo. Makes it a little easier to see. My osteotomy is palatally inclined, so that way our axis hole comes out right on the lingual. So that's going to look really, really good. That'll be a slam dunk for Dr. Martin to restore. So what I was saying before is that I like to graft my socket prior to placing my implant, because grafting the gap is something that you can do, but if you have a very small gap between the buccal plate and the position of the implant, it makes it very, very hard to get that bone particulate all the way down to the apex. So what I like to do is I like to fill up the whole thing, make sure that I have bone in every, single tiny nook and cranny of that socket. Then I'll go back with my 3.2 drill, clear out the path for the implant, and then place the implant. And that ensures that my bone graft gets all the way down to the apex. So we'll hydrate the bone graft material here. And we have a little bone graft carrier that makes it real easy to deliver it. No scooping or getting a bunch of bone graft all over the place. It's a real easy delivery system. So I'll take my bone graft here and push that right in there. I'll go again here, round 2. Right before I put this bone graft in, I'm going to make sure that that first load that I put in is condensed all the way down, like so. Now we'll take our second load of bone graft, just like that. I have a different type of condenser. It's a little bit wider. You can have a bigger side for molars or a smaller side for anteriors or premolars. It does a nice job of really, really compressing the graft all the way down. And truly, the main reason for this graft is not that you have to graft the gap if it's less than 2 millimeters or 1.5 millimeters. Is that this graft is the scaffold for that buccal plate that holds it up, so we get minimal tissue changes during the healing process. So right there, that graft is as condensed as it can be. But now we have to put our implant in. So we gotta create that path again. So we'll take the last drill that I used, which is my 3-2, again by 28. That's determined by the implant planning software. And I'll put this right back in, and I'll clear the path, just like that. And now that hole is made for my implant. The implant planning software tells me that we're going to be placing this fully guided using our fully guided drill. Now, to correct for the exact depth of the implant, the fully guided drill has 4 stop positions. The implant planning software told me that we're going to be stopping on stop position 4. So we're going to be taking this little clip and placing it in stop position 4. It's actually stop position 1 from the bottom, 2, 3, 4 at the top. And this little clip is what prevents this from seating any further as it hits the guide sleeve. So we'll now put the guided drill. This little piece actually rotates into the implant, so I'm going to get it to seat. This screws into the implant, so that way it doesn't fall off. And then this adapter clicks in. Now it's very, very important, before you sink any implant, we need to make sure that you are on 50 RPMs. I want you to click on it and watch it spin very slowly in front of you. This is so important. The last thing you want to do is to sink an implant at 2,000 RPMs into someone's jaw, because this is going to go. BioHorizons Tapered Pro implants are end cutting and aggressive thread. So it will continue to go in even past your osteotomy. So the slower, the better. So we'll go ahead and take our implant, place it right dead center into our osteotomy. We'll go nice and slow. My W&H implant motor reads torque values for us in this little graph diagram. So as I'm placing it, I can feel the torque value going up. Just like that. And right there, that clip will stop us. And we got to about 62 Newton centimeters of insertion torque, which is fantastic. That's as ideal and textbook as it gets. Again, take a nice little photo here, just to show that this was done fully guided, as usual. Good. So you can take the BioHorizons 050 driver. You don't have to do this by hand. There's a little slot right there that allows you to unscrew that. And this will pop with a little wiggle right out of the implant. Now the guide will be removed, and you can see all of our graft particulate buckle to our implant, which is what I want. I'm gonna lightly remove a little bit of this. We don't need too much of this, so I'm gonna scoop this into Lissette's suction. And the reason for that is I don't need too much graft because I want to build an emergence from the head of the implant. Go ahead and take that from me. A nice emergence profile, so that way once this gets impressed or digitally scanned, we have a beautiful emergence profile. So that way the restoration is a breeze. We'll put some light there. That helps. Very, very nice. Doesn't get better than that. Now we're gonna take another photo. Only because I'm a diva. There we go. Again, I am a diva. Beautiful. Okay. So now that that's done, we're basically ready to marry the patient's existing crown to our temporary coping. So what we're gonna do here is take our temporary cylinder. We're going to be placing it right into the head of the implant. Like so. And we're going to take our temporary cylinder screw, and that's going to index right into there. And that goes screwed into, I need the blue 050 long driver, please. Grab that for me. So for this coping, you do need a longer driver, just because the length of the driver that comes in the kit, the standard one is a short one. The longer one allows you to get all the way down to the base of that coping. Or pump cylinder, however you want to call it. Here's the long. This will index right there. We'll screw this all the way down into the head of the implant. So now we are good there. Now, how are we going to get his old crown to slip right over that? Well, the answer is real easy. Here's his old crown that we're going to clean up, and I'm going to remove that busted tooth from the inside until it's hollow. Can you grab me a chair from the other room? And a burr block. There we go. And what I like to do is with a nice big round burr, crown front burr, I can make it happen with most anything. So right here, I'm gonna have Lisette hold high-speed suction. And if anybody who's a dentist knows what it is to drill out old cement from an inside of a crown, we all know what that smells like. None of it is nice or enjoyable. So I'm going to slowly just keep hollowing that out as a post in here. This is a PFZ crown. So we got zirconia on the inside here and layered porcelain on the outside. So kind of like the fact that we got a little bit of strength on the inside here. I'm going to need a thinner burr to get all the way down to the apex. Oh, that burr is hot. Ooh, that's really hot. Let's get a thinner burr. That's good, good. So now we're going to continue with the thinner burr. Once we get all the way down. That post really does not want to move. Let's give it some more love. And I really don't care what's at the apex because this crown is going to be hollow anyways. What I need is a lingual emergence. So now I need a round burr. Looks like you grab me a large diamond round burr. And I can kind of see from where the lingual emergence is that that's coming out right at the cingulum. So I know that my hole from the lingual is going to have to start somewhere around here. So I'll make my first initial cut right there. And my goal is to make a window big enough so when I seat this crown on top of that temporary coping, there's the post that finally came out. I have room all the way around so I can loop composite to the crown. So just like that. Definitely feel like I'm gonna need a little bit more there. Okay, so now I'm gonna do a quick dry fit test. See where we're at. Again, I'm not doing anything position wise. All right, I swear I didn't plan that. That actually. All right, that was lucky. Okay, that shouldn't have happened. So that was really good. Okay, so obviously you can see how on the lingual aspect of that crown, the temp cylinder comes out right from the lingual. Again, just call it good planning. But normally that doesn't happen. You'll have to try it in, see it's bumping in, remove a little bit more of the access hole of that crown, and just keep doing that until it seats fully all the way down. So I'm going to remove this. I'm going to clean this up just a little bit more. And then I'll show you how I index that back into the same exact position that we started with. Which is something that I made with a little bit of packable composite. Just like that. Very good. So right now I'm just cleaning up any traces of old cement, any bits of divots or chips or fractures. I just want this to be as clean as possible. Okay, that's nice and clean all the way around. No more cement there. That's what I want to see. Clean this up here just a bit. We'll do another dry fit. Again, just to verify what we already verified. And that crown seats exactly to where it's sat before. Now, you can see that temp coping again is in the right position, but how do we hold this in place and make sure it doesn't move while I'm putting composite in there to marry that temporary cylinder to the crown? Well, this is moving right now. Prior to starting, we took packable composite when the tooth was still intact and in its place, and created this little seating jig. So I can actually take this and I can seat this crown into that jig like that. It even clicks in, which is nice. I'll probably have to remove a little bit of this composite here on the jig, just so that way the cylinder does not hit it. Just like that. I'm just removing it from the jig. Just like that. So now this jig is going to index on number 7 and number 9, like that. And now I can squirt all my composite around that temp cylinder to pick it up, having this tooth in the exact same position where we started from before we even got him done. So that's the trick to get the tooth position correct. So now we're going to pop this off. I'm going to need Z-Prime and Ivoclean. So the inside of this crown is made of zirconia, porcelain fused to zirconia. So to get that to bond to anything composite-wise, we need to prepare the zirconia surface. Air particle abrasion is great for roughening a zirconia surface. In this case, we don't need to do that because I took a diamond burr. I took a diamond burr to the inside of that crown. So we're in pretty good shape there to begin with. So as you know, I have it clean. You want to always give it a good shake. Don't need the jig right now. And then we're going to want to take a little micro brush, give it a good spread. And all that Ivoclean does is that it has a higher affinity for those phospholipids so it binds to them and removes them. So any saliva, trace organic materials, it just really removes it all, leaves a nice clean finish. And then our Z prime is what primes the zirconia surface to be bondable. Now we're gonna clean that out real well. Air dry, super good. Just like that. Just like that, nice and dry. Now I'll have Lisette give me Z prime on the micro brush. I'll go ahead and coat all the surfaces that I'm going to be adding composite to. Now keep in mind, I'm only going to be adding a little bit of composite just to marry the crown to the temp cylinder. I'll be adding more composite after to create the shape I want and the emergence, so that way we get ideal tissue forming. So now that that's Z primed, I'll let that sit there for a couple seconds to react. And now this PFZ crown is ready for bonding, or to be picked up. So again, I'll take my crown, I'll put it back into my jig, just like that, like this. Quick center, just like that. And we are going to take our flowable composite. I'm gonna actually just dry a little bit on that temp cylinder. Now, before I do this pickup, I want to take a PA. I want to take a PA of that coping. So grab the X-ray system. I want to take a PA of that coping and make sure that it's fully sat. It's really important to make sure that there's no bone graft particulate sitting on top of the head of the implant, which is why I really cleaned it out well to make sure it was clean before I placed the temp coping in, or the temp cylinder. Because if even the slightest amount of bone particle gets in there, that temp coping is not going to sit all the way down. So imagine we do this entire process, we pick up the crown, and it doesn't sit all the way down. Really smart to take a PA now to verify it's seated, and then do the pickup. So Lisette's going to get the X-ray. So we've taken our PA, and right over there, you can see that the temp coping is seated all the way down onto the implant. So that's our verification. And now we're going to start the process of luting our cylinder to our crown. Just like that. A little bit of plumber's tape. Put that right there. Just a little bit, not too much. Thank you, Lisette. And that's just some insurance that no composite gets in there. So now I'm going to take my flowable composite, and I'm going to start to put a good amount on the neck of my temporary cylinder. All the way around our temporary cylinder. And I'm going to add some to the inside of our crown. Grab my carrying light, please. And now with our jig that we created before, I'm going to go ahead and seat this up and over. And once those incisal edges are locked in, just like that, all the way down, that's seated nicely. I'm going to take our curing light. I'll have a velo. And we're going to cure that. A couple times on the buckle, a couple times on the lingual. We'll clean out any composite that's sitting on top of the access hole on the temp cylinder. And now that temporary coping should be married to the inside of that crown, exactly where we want it to go. So now we're going to remove our jig, just like that. And that's very nice. It took off the composite and our PTFE with it. That makes it, again, I didn't plan for this. It just keeps happening. God loves me. I'm going to take a perio probe and just roll that right out. Good. So now that we're out all the way, we'll take our long 050 driver, which is standard for BioHorizons. And now we can disengage the temporary from the implant. And now we have the temporary connected to the implant. So, now what's next? Now we have to make the proper emergence. So I'm going to now remove the temporary screw, leave that there. I'm going to start the cleanup process for the temp. What does that mean? Basically everything that's extra here I don't need. Keep in mind as you drill the temporary, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to build up the walls in composite, and then I'll come back and then I'll trim the excess, only because I'll have more composite to grab onto. As you drill the metal, it gets really hot. I don't want to burn my fingers, so I'll have you with the curing light there ready to go. And I'll literally just build this up freehand until I like it where it's at. Go ahead and cure that for me to the side. Again. Oh, that got warm. That velo is hot. Woo! Alright, that's good. So all I'm doing here is adding composite, 360 around, basically joining the margins of that crown to the margin of that temp coping, right where it meets the head of the implant. Go ahead and cure that for me right there. Go ahead and cure that right there, in the buckle. Okay. Now I'm going to see where I'm deficient, where I want to add some more. I'm a little deficient right here. I'll add some there. I'll add some there, just to really fill those gaps. Again, you can overfill, you can cut it back, and we're gonna really polish this well at the end. So go ahead and cure that all the way around. Cure it there. Jesus Christ, that's hot. I'm gonna put this down. This velo gets really hot. All right, cool. So now we've built up our crown with our coping right to where we want it. Now we're gonna start to trim it back and refine it so it's super smooth, and then we're gonna make it super glossy. The reason why you want your composite as glossy as possible is because very polished composite will actually provide for epithelial attachment, hence providing a biological barrier to the head of your implant, blocking it from the outside world. So I'll take an enhanced cup here, which might not be aggressive enough for me. So I'm gonna deviate to maybe a football, if we have one. Do we have a football brush? No? Grab me a football brush, please. In the meantime, I'll take a red stripe because I'm impatient. And I'll slowly just start to bring down any areas where the composite's a little aggressive. I'm going to slowly create a buckle lip. Just like that. Take down all this composite, we don't need it. Take down all this composite, we don't need it. Basically what I want is that outward buckle profile. Because remember, this implant is not centered where that root used to be. So we still want a lot of material here to hold out that buckle margin, just to provide a support for that soft tissue. So again, I'm just taking a smooth red stripe. This is just gross reduction. That looks really good. I'm gonna take this back here. Any little ridges or bumps you want to bring down, make sure it's as smooth as possible. I like buttery smooth. Okay, so now that I've reduced that and I've shaped that to my liking, I'm really content with that emergence. Now I'll go back to my enhanced cup and I'll start to smooth out all that composite, remove all the irregularities before I do my final buffing and polishing. So sidewall, just like that. Really, really smooth. Right around here is normally when people tend to lose the crowns or things fly out of your hands. Make sure you have a really good grip on the crown, like that. That way nothing flies off. Good. Nice and smooth. Again, working our way all the way around. Oh my lord, we're dancing here. I got a really good grip, so even if my slow speed decides to jump, it's not going anywhere. One thing that's really important is I really take my enhanced cup around that neck of the temp coping, make sure there's no composite sitting on top of that temp cylinder. I want to see nice metal all the way down. Cool. Now that that's done, now we're going to take our polishing wheels. These are Ease Diacomp Twist composite polishing wheels. They are the best wheels that I've used for polishing any sort of composite. It leaves literally a porcelain finish. You always start with the pink one. And always make sure that when your slow speed is set, you want it to spin in the direction where the tail fins slap into the composite. You don't want it to spin like that. Where it spins outward, you want it to spin back like that. So clockwise. What this does is it just leaves another really nice smooth surface. So polish this real good, just like that. Polish this real good, just like that. Polish this real good, all the way around, 360 degrees. I'd say it's pretty smooth already. We're going to take it one step further. Now with the white wheel, this is what gives us that glossy finish. And glossy finish dry, not glossy finish wet. That's cheating. You can take a look at the composite there. That's shiny, shiny. And that's what's going to give us our epithelial attachment all the way down to to the head of the implant. You just go like that all the way around until you get a nice, beautiful shine. Beautiful shine. Give it a quick clean and a dry. And that's what you want your end result to look like. Just like that, nice and shiny, all the way from the head of that implant down to the margin of that crown. Last thing we got to do now is remove all this excess metal. And the reason why I did my composite first is now I can hold this here, mesial and distal, without that metal heating up and burning my fingers. It makes it a little bit easier. I like my hands. I want to take care of them. We having fun yet, Tom?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Good.
Awesome. I'm almost done putting it back together, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm gonna take that football that Lisette got me. And I'm gonna hold this left and right really, really well. And I'm gonna slowly start to bring this down. You're gonna see a couple sparks. That's normal. Sparks are normal. We are cutting metal into metal. Don't freak out. And just like that, we have now created our flat lingual surface with the adjusted temp. Ready for insertion. So now we're going to try it in, see how it looks, see if we're happy. It looks really good. Like a glove. We'll take our temporary screw. Looks can you give me a little bit of suction there? Just a little bit, hold on. Go ahead. Suction, suction, suction. And remove. I want to make sure that the head of that implant is completely clean, and it is not. I can see a little piece of bone graft material inside the implant. So I'll take a perio probe and I'll clean that out. Again, it is imperative that the inside of that implant is very clean. If not, you won't get full feeding of your temp cylinder or your temporary. So now that that's clean again, round two, you can get this back in there. Make sure there's nothing on the outside of that internal hex. You want to seat this perfectly into position. Again, another way to check. You can take your temporary, put it back onto the verification jig with a seating jig. There we go. Now we have perfect seating. We'll take our temp screw, place it from the lingual. There's actually a piece of composite in the way. There we go. Let me remove the jig so we can get that screw in there. There we go. And now we can get that screwed in all the way. Finger pressure is all we want in terms of strength here. Right there, we're at a dead stop. Now I want Lisette for you to take a PA. I want to make sure that we're fully seated. That looks really, really good. Really nice. Good. You got it? Alright, so now we're going to bring you back. We're going to close the access hole. Add in a little bit of composite, just clean up the surrounding areas, and then the most important part is we're going to adjust your bite. So remember how we talked about at the consult visit, there's a reason why that tooth broke. You know, teeth just don't sporadically break off at the gum line for no reason. And your lower tooth here is sitting a little bit higher than the rest of your teeth. So as we age, teeth shift and teeth move. As those changes happens, things adapt. In this case, unfortunately, your front right tooth adapted to this moving up. So we're gonna not only do a little bit of adjustment on the lower, but also make sure that we have no contacts of the lower teeth hitting the upper teeth, both in a tap, tap, tap version, and also when you slide and grind around, sliding your lower jaw forward, like how we did at that consult, remember? Okay. And even if that means I have to make this tooth a little bit shorter during the healing phase, you know, it might look a little weird, but you have a tooth there, it's better than walking around with a gap, okay? Then we'll obviously talk about post-op instructions during the healing phase, which can take, 4 to 5 months. I don't want you to use your front tooth for literally anything. So if you want to bite into anything, don't. Cut it up with pieces of a knife and a fork in pieces, then put it into the back of your mouth, and then chew it. I want you to pretend as if this tooth is like the Holy Grail that was given to you one time in life, and you're not going to get it again. Treat it like a child, a baby, an infant.
Was the suction there?
No, that's good. That's good. I'm just going to remove any little excess bone particulate right here. That looks really good. Really, really, really good. Good. Okay. Teflon. Came out really nice. There's a little bit of piece of Teflon in there. It's good. Give me another piece of Teflon. I want to really protect the head of that screw. And then I'm going to see you recurrently. I'm going to see you in 2 weeks for a post-op, take an x-ray, take a couple photos. We'll probably see you 4 weeks after that, make sure that everything is healing well. And then another probably 6 to 8 weeks after that. Once that implant is fully integrated, I'll do something called a RFA scan test, or a implant integration test, which is a scanner that reads how much bone has hugged the implant or integrated around the implant. And once I get to that right value, which is north of 70, that's when we get the green light for Dr. Martin to take this off and give you your final restoration. Can I have a composite instrument, please? So there I'm putting a little bit of... So as I was saying, we place Teflon tape into the access hole, and then composite. We use our composite instrument just to really smooth that down. And you can even take a little bit of bonding agent just to wet the resin. And we'll take our curing light, cure that sucker in place. I'll give it 2, why not? Now comes the most important part of this process, checking the occlusion. So obviously we'll have the patient do this sitting down and sitting up. But I'm going to have you go ahead and bite down for me. Tap, 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 and open. And now we're going to see, exactly as I predicted, that one tooth that's sitting high is affecting this implant. That's where it's hitting. So we're going to start doing a little bit of occlusal adjustment, both on that lower tooth first to get things leveled and aligned, and then the rest of the adjustment on the implant crown. Yeah, I'm not taking off a lot, I'm just smoothing things out. Okay, now we're going to try the bite again. And go ahead and bite down for me. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, 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 tap. Open wide. Again, we're still hitting there. Right on the axis hole. We're going to bring that down aggressively. This time I'll switch to a round diamond. Only because the curvature back there is a little annoying with the football. So like a round diamond allows me to scoop out that palette a little bit easier. Just like that. Then it's gonna sound and feel like you're cutting into metal. That's because you are. Polish that down. We're gonna remove our mark and we're gonna test it again. And bite down for me. Tap, tap, tap. Open wide. Still got a single mark there on the mesial. This is the most important thing. We want zero occlusion. And don't adjust it until it's just gone. You want to overcorrect. You want to really, really, really remove. Because the goal here is zero occlusion. Good. Now we're going to try it again. And bite down for me. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, 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 tap. Open wide. Better. Now I have a mark on my number 7, and I have a mark on my number 9, but I still see a super tiny mark on my number 8. I don't want any marks. So you're going to come back in here, and you're going to remove. You come back here, and you're going to remove. And once again. And bite down. Tap, tap, tap. Open big. I'm very happy now. Zero marks. And if we test over here, bite down for me. Tap, tap, tap. Hard. We got occlusion all the way across, so we know we're closing down all the way. Another way to test for this. We could take shim stock. I just don't feel like standing up. Go ahead and bite down. And this pulls right through. Open up again. And I'll put this right here. Go ahead and bite down. Pulls right through. Open up again. Bite down. Pulls right through. So I know that there's... And I can also even visually bite down. I can also visually see with my mirror there is no contact. And even on the mesial, it's a little close. I know there's no contact. I'm going to still scoop that a little bit more. My OCD. Make sure there's absolutely no contact. Remember, you filled the inside of that crown with composite, so it's really well maintained and mechanically grabbed in there and wrapped around the cylinder. So even if you cut through the outside of the old crown, you have the composite underneath, which is going to keep things smooth and at bay. So now that that's done, I'm going to polish the incisal edges. I got a little dirty. There we go. Just cleaning up here. Now that's step 1 of the occlusion. Step 2 of the occlusion is the patient in dynamic motion. So we're going to need another troll foil. I like to use troll foil because it's only 8 microns thick. And now I want you to bite down and slide forward. Slide your lower arch forward to me, exactly, like that. Keep going. Good. Open up again. Bite down and slide forward. Open. Bite down again and slide forward. So what I want you to do is bite down, stay biting, but stay in contact with your upper arch, okay, and slide forward.
Okay.
Kind of like a ski ramp, okay?
Okay.
Open up again and bite down and slide forward all the way through. Now open. And now I'm going to see if there's any contact. And there is a little bit of contact on the incisal edge. So I've already pre-told the patient at the from the consult visit all the way up to now and over again, we might have to reduce a little bit on the edge, just so that if there's any protrusive movements going on that he's not aware of, we remove those, because any lateral forces on our implant, especially with it being immediately loaded, can cause failure. So I'm going to see how good I can do here. Okay, so now I'm going to remove all the marks on the lower, which by the way are pretty good already. Instead I want to blow air on the lingual of the upper and the insides of the lower. Go ahead and bite down for me and grind forward. Bite down for me and grind forward. And open up again. It's rock solid, good. Absolutely no marks in protrusive and no marks in MIP. Go ahead and bite down, good, slide forward. And I can visually see. Go ahead and bite down again and slide forward and hold it right on the edge. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Hold it right there. Right there, you can see that everything is in occlusion in protrusive, minus that immediately loaded implant crown. So that's what we want. Cool. Last step here is a little bit of polishing on the lingual. And then, again, we'll beat the information into his head of absolutely no biting into anything, no hard foods in the front. Make sure that it's your child, like your firstborn, all over again, if it's ever happened. And then water. Okay, I want to polish this really, really well. Okay. And just like that, we are done. We'll take a final pick, and you are ready to go home, my friend.